Hello everyone. We're going to carry on today in the postcard. We're going to carry on the habits of the high effective people, and I'm going to read for you all. The personality of and character, the ethnics. At the same time, in addition of my research on perfection, I was also deeply immersed in a deep study of the Sussex literacy published in the United States in 1776. I was reading or scanning literally hundreds of books, articles, and essays in fields such as self-improvement, popular psychology, and self-help. My fingertips was the sun and substance what a free and democratic people consider to be the key of successful living. So a lot of the successful people study other successful people to see what they do different, because they don't have the same mindset than normal people, than the 90% of the population. They have different mindset. Today we read from Stephen Covey, How to Be Very High Effective People, and I wanted to teach you what was the habits you need to put in your mind. First of all, you need to put in your mindset. So we're going to change the program with the habits. Read every day is a habit where you can change your behavior, because when they are in the mind and you read it, then you change your habits, your behavior. Okay? So as my study took me back through the hundreds of years I'm writing about success, I noticed an starting pattern emergency in the contents of the literacy. Because in our own pain, and because the similar pain I have since the lives and relationships of many people I have worked with through the years, and began to feel more and more the mass of the success literacy and the past 50 years was superficial. It was filled with social emerging consciousness, techniques, and pink fixes with social band-aid and aspirin that address acute problems and sometimes even happen to solve them temporarily, but left underlying chronic problems untouched to fester and surface time again. So when I was in the Buddhist studies, we put a packet when you have rain in the house and you have a water leak in the roof. You put a packet and temporarily you sort the problem, but you're not going to the roof and sorting out the hole in the roof. So that happened to us. We temporarily, so we have problem in our job and we change the job, but we have problem again and we change it, but we're not going to the roof. The roof is inside us. And now today I know the technique how to take the roof, the patterns, what you do, so that we have the Akashic records and go to see and to heal from the past life, because you have that behavior from your all lives. So you not necessarily have done anything in this life. What happened to you now? So I teach you how to sort it out with my videos, with my teaching, and with my learning points, with my shorts, with everything, to wake up your unconscious mind and start changing, start this development, personal development journey. In stark contrast, almost of the literacy on the 150 years or so focus on that we could call character, ethnics, and the foundation of success. Things like integrity, humility, fidelity, temperance, courage, justice, patience, industry, simplicity, modesty, and the Golden Rule, Benjamin Franklin autobiography is represented the literature of basically the story of man effort to integrate certain principles and habits deeply between his nature. So people try very hard to implement success in their life. So they need to implement different steps to have different results. Okay, you need to study yourself first, your personality. That is why important. You need to find out who you are, where you come from, where you live, where you in your conscious, what is the culture of your family, why you can watch it yourself every day, how you think, how you move, what your behavior, because that will give you an idea what you have and what you need to change. But shortly after the World War, and the basic view of success shifted from the character of ethnics and we might call personality. Ethnics. Success become more of function of personality, of public's imaging, of attitudes and behaviors, a skill and technique that lubricate the process of human interaction. This personality ethnics essentially took two paths. One was human and public relationship techniques, and the other was positive mental attitude. Some of the philosophy was expressed and inspiring sometimes valid maxims such as your attitude determines your altitude. Similarly, from friends and froming, whatever the mind of a man can conceive, I believe you can achieve. That's very important. Whatever you conceive in your mind, you can achieve, you can do it. So you need to believe it. You need to change that habit of thinking negative to positive and think you'll be able to do whatever you want as long as you keep going and you start taking action since day one. Even as a small action every day, you can change your habit. You can be powerful. You can have power in your mind and you can move forward to your goals. Other part of the personality approach were clearly manipulative, even deceptive. Encourage people to use techniques to get other people to like them, or to fake interest in the hobbies of the others to get out of them what they want. Or they use the power, look, or intimidate their way through life. Some of the literature acknowledged character was ingredients of success, but tended to compartmentally to rather than recognize of the fundamental of catalytics. Reference to the character ethnics because most lip service, the basic thrusts and quick fix influence techniques, power strategies, communication skill and positive attitude. So you need to, there is a lot of people there that can manipulate others because the power that people have a lot more of inner power and you're very sensitive, they can easily manipulate you. But you need to, through the wisdom, you need to rid of things in your life they're not good for you and see what is good and which technique is better and give you the strategies to get what you want. The personality ethnics I began to realize was the subconscious source of the solution Sandra and I were attempting to use with our son. And I thought more deeply about the difference between the personality and the character ethnics. I realized that Sandra and I have been getting social mileage and our children good behavior, and in our eyes this son maybe didn't measure up. I was imaging of ourselves. But our role as good, caring parents was even deeper than our imaging of our sons and perhaps influenced. There was a lot more grab up and the way of were seeing and handling the problem that I was concerned of our son's welfare. Sometimes parents see the things on the children, but the children have their own personality, they have their own path. So a way of help your children is to make sure you realize you left them to take the decisions. Your child need to grow and need to do their own life. So a good thing, so a good parent is the parents, they left the children to take all decisions. You be there to support the children, but they left them to make their own decision. Don't make any decision for them, because you will damage their personality. Between 0 and 14 years old, human will develop a personality. So a less influence you do in that moment is the better, because they can find their own way. So as Sandra and I talk, we become painfully aware of the powerful influence of our son's character and motive in our perception of him. We knew that social comparison motives were out of harmony with our deeply values and could lead to conditional love or eventually to our son's lesser sense of self-worth. So we determined to focus our efforts on us, not on our techniques, but on our deepest motive and our perception of him. Instead of trying to change him, we try to stand apart, to separate us from him and sense his identity, individuality, separate and worth. So this is very important, because your son is different person, different entity. So let your son find his own path, because that will help you. Because if they make mistakes when they're little, doesn't matter a mistake, they can change again your life when you're little. But if you try to manipulate your son's fate, you will damage that person. You damage your son or your daughter, because they need to be free. You not possess them. You can't. You bring them to the world, but you need to let them live free. Otherwise, they cannot. It won't have the life they deserve, and they will have psychology problems. And I see by the experience, we damage because our parents, old-fashioned parents, they try to ground us and don't let us to be free. Through deep thought and the exercise of faith and praise, we began to see our son in terms of our own uniqueness. We saw without him layers and layers of potential that would be realized on his own pace and speed. We decided to relax and get out of his way and let his own personality emerge. We saw our natural soul and begin to affirm, enjoy and value him. We also unconsciously work our motive and cultivate internal source of security that our own feelings of worth will not dependent in our children's acceptable behavior. So left your child make their own decisions and be there to support, is give him freedom and is left them to get on with their own life, and it will be more success than you grounded the children, and do what you want them to do. We are losing all perfection our soul and develop values-based motives. New feelings began to emerge. We found ourselves enjoy him instead of comparing and judging him. We stopped trying to clone him in our own imagine of measuring him against social expectation. We stopped trying to kindly, positively manipulate him into the acceptable social mood because we saw him as fundamentally adequate, able to cope with life. We stopped protecting him against the ridicule of others. We have seen mature on this protection. You know, my parents never protected me. I always been in trouble when I was a little girl. I have to get on with the solutions, and as today an adult life, when I'm in trouble, I know how to sort it out. I learn that lesson since little, so that I have to thanks to my parents. They never be helping me massively when I have problems. When real problems come in my life, I have to sort it out. Even my family support me, which is always welcome. And I have a few life faults in my life. I have a few faults where my family were there, and it was me who made the decision how to support myself or how ask them to support me. That helped me to overcome, and I be more strong than ever when I have problems, and I will sort it out then quickly. So this is very true what they say in this book. They say we don't need to protect you. Was the unspoken message, we are fundamentally okay. Because if you let the child grow properly, they will develop protection for themselves. They have the personality, the strong personality, because you change your personality when you start develop your personality when you little. Depend of you, we learn through the results. So if you have a personality and you not get the result you want, you change it, and then through the pain you will change your personality. As the weeks and months passed, he began to feel quiet, confident, and affirm himself. He began to blossom at his own pace and speak. He became understanding and measured by stand social criteria, academically, socially, and athletically, and a rapid click far beyond so-called natural developmental process. As the years passed, he was elected to several student body and leadership positions, developed into the all-state athletes, and started bringing home a stray and a report card. He developed an engaging and guileless personality, and has enabled to him to relate in no threatening ways for all kind of people. So you can change. This book is talking about a son, where before the parents, academically parents, parents who know books and study and educate parents, try to manipulate their son. His son was in drugs, and the moment they left alone, and they say, okay, you take your own path, and let the child grow in his own path and speed, the child change their personality. Have you ever see about the observe effect? And somebody observe you change, so you work. Imagine I see this in England. I live in England, and we have cameras all the time at work, so everything we do is a camera, okay? So it's recorded. So I work better with a camera because I know somebody watching me. It's not just because if I come into work, I'm better think I have a camera with proof I'm working. So the same, you parents watching you, how you doing, you do better because they watching you, but they don't interact with you. So having a camera is helping you to do, because you are conscious about to do better, okay? And then you forget about the camera, and you carry on working. So there's nothing to say, and it's working in the two ways. If they say you've done something wrong and you haven't done it, it's a proof you haven't done it. So it's a good idea to have to a camera or I think to make you to be conscious about your behavior. So today is all for today. I hope you enjoy my reading, and this is my postcard, how to influence people and how to become a change your personality. Today we haven't had the visit of my cat, but I see him here. Hello. I read it from my cat. Today is asleep, but next capture we have a conversations between three people, and we conversation about personality, and we're going to change behavior. We're going to learn how to change your personality to the best. And I see you soon. And this is Maria Coaching, personal development training, specialized in goal setting. I love everyone. I see you soon.